Well then, dear listener, if you've hung on this long, welcome to the Savor the Burn podcast. My name is Jonathan. Across the table from me is the illustrious W2, and our guest on this episode, once again, is the amazing Chandler.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here, especially for the third time. Hopefully you've gotten used to my voice and what it sounds like. I can't change it. It is what it is, and that's why my mom loves me. So that's what I got. I appreciate being here.
And if you don't love him because of his voice, chances are you've gotten to know him a little bit. You may not have been able to peek behind the curtain and gaze through the window and relish and enjoy the light of all that Chandler is and can be. Because really, who has? I mean, how many people really have experienced that?
I'm truly a mystery box, and I will tell you
wrapped
this.
in an enigma.
Yes, it is like you gotta get through the maze, and then you gotta solve the riddle 3 times, and then like pay the troll. Like it's a lot. It's a thing, and like
I'm not a fan of trolls.
That's where everybody stops.
Right.
Most people in my life.
Right.
Even my mom says, "Oh, the troll, you got to pay.
You have to pay the troll toll."
Yeah, and don't finish that. Okay, don't finish that.
Okay.
Okay, because that's my mom we're talking about.
All right.
But like, you pay the troll toll. And most people stop there. They legitimately stop there. So,
that's too bad, because I think Chandler's got a lot to offer the world.
Thank you so much.
Not just the content creation, I'm
going to state for a fact, just to make sure that everybody's clear. Once you pay the troll, you just get on the other side of the bridge. And that's all.
Right. It's that damn troll bridge.
Yeah.
I remember in Renfest, there was a Renaissance Festival here in Kansas City. There was a troll bridge, and there was always some nasty motherfucker hanging out near it, living underneath it. I saw this dude one time at Renfest. I was fouled out. I remember it might have been the first time I was ever actually fouled out by my fellow human being. Crawled down out of a tree, watched him climb down, and he went over to a trash can, and somebody had thrown away a turkey leg. And I guess it had too much meat on it left on the bone. Right, turkey legs, right? After having had a turkey leg, I kind of see why he did this. But he climbed down out of a tree, went over to the trash can that was near us. We saw him dig around in this. I'm like, what is this fucking guy doing? He pulls out the turkey leg, he looks at it, kind of smacks it against the trash can, and takes a huge bite out of it. Just enjoying that meat. And I'm like, what the fuck? I need to get away from this nasty motherfucker immediately in my 12-year-old mind. Like, at that point, I'm busy, like, selling weed to fellow students on the playground. I'm, like, drinking alcohol in school. Stealing bicycles and cars in the middle of the night. Like, whatever.
Did you say bicycles and cars?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because if there weren't enough Diamondbacks and all that was out there was Huffies and Walmart Mongooses, you had to up your game. Not everybody locks their car. And since your dad's a mechanic, you kind of know how to hotwire a couple of things up to a certain year. So so sometimes people's cars would come up missing, and they'd find them on the other end of town. Whatever.
I feel like you're taking my shtick of like being the mystery of like revealing certain things and like up in the game.
Well, anybody that knows me for any length of time will have heard these stories.
Okay.
I think, Wayne, this is probably the first time you've heard them. Some of them.
It's the first time I've heard them.
Definitely.
Like, it would be weird if all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, it's a typical story from you." Like I've heard.
It can be a Gen Xer thing to overshare the fuck out of everything, but like I try to hold some things back. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was inadvertently stealing your shtick.
No.
Siento, bro.
No, it's okay. Like I just almost want you to tell us everything in this episode.
You're right. He's like, I gotta know what the fuck I'm dealing with. Do I need to lock my car?
Tell me,
or do I need to put a club on it? What the fuck?
Tell me everything in this episode so that like the teaser stick is my thing moving forward.
Teaser stick definitely.
Yeah.
You got that on lockdown.
It's okay. No, it's okay. We can share.
Mm-hmm.
We can share, but like
we can share the stick.
But like I don't have anything that like tops like Still and Huffy, so like that's where this stinks because spoiler alert, everything else is gonna be like subdued from this point forward on my end, so that's gonna be my thing.
Through the power of editing, we can get rid of everything I just said. You can. I don't need to be center stage rock star.
No,
all the
it's
time.
okay. It's okay. It's just I'm a guest. I guess I get the host. I get like you guys are like I'm just here to promote my movie and my movie coming out at April 22nd.
Okay.
It's great. It's gonna be it's great.
All right.
It's great. We haven't even filmed it yet, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So that's what I'm here for. And
it's original expose.
Yeah. So we got whiskey.
We do have whiskey. This tasting, we're going to check out the Navigator Straight Bourbon whiskey. Retails roughly $27 out of the great state of Kentucky, aged 3 years, which is surprising because this is pretty damn dark for a dark color. We've had many of them say that they're mahogany in color. This one doesn't say it, but it absolutely looks that way. It says maturation in American white oak. Fairly common, I guess. Finished in Cabernet Sauvignon wine barrels. Alcohol comes in at 43.3%, which locks it in right at 86.6 proof. And this is, I don't know what shape we would call this bottle. I don't even know why I'd bring that up. It's very
fantastic looking bottle.
It is very elegant looking, old school map looking band on the bottom and the top. Over the Navigator, the O and Navigator is the old wheel from a like an old ship, an old wooden ship.
So this is not related to anything that has to do with Flight of the Navigator.
Unfortunately, no. There's no teardrop silver spaceship with a voice of Pee Wee Herman.
I'm excited to try this one. You know,
let me take a picture of it last time, guy. I snorted again.
This was a find I kind of stumbled upon one day at the liquor store. I have not tried it yet. What a contrast in some of the other price points of other things we've tried. That Whistle Pig 10-year was, what did that come in at? 84. The Dead Guy is 48. This one's $27 bottle.
And I read that and I just blew right past that.
But what's incredible about that, though, is it came with a kind of a cardboard collar on it, promoting that Wine Enthusiast magazine gave it a 93-point review.
Huh. The collar I had, it got snipped away at birth. Anyway, so what, 93? Wine enthusiasts. So wine enthusiasts are paying attention to whiskey and bourbon.
It's because it's a W. It like...
Okay. Okay. W respects W.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, I'm drinking wine, and then all of a sudden they're just like, they're in the same...
What else starts with a W?
They're in the same aisle.
Whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not the same aisle, then the same store.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get the trifecta, you get W2.
There you go.
I like the amount of aisles that I've been to and found W2 hanging out.
If you could count on one finger, how many times has that happened?
Probably not as many as I...
I don't know, half of one. I don't
know. But no, pretty interesting about the wine enthusiasts rating.
They rate a lot of different spirits.
Okay.
I see that all the time. You go to the liquor store and you'll see various different little clippings and point ratings on various different things.
Do you feel like that? Like it's like, okay, that's great. You know what I mean? Like if I saw an Avenger movie and all of a sudden it's like TV critic says it is a 90% of Rotten Tomatoes, I'll be like, cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
but like Siskel and Ebert, like, show me what.
Yeah, those are movie
Show me
critics.
what you got. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
So like, do you feel like the wine, reading that as
to a point.
yeah, to a point, and we've alluded to this before, it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Each one of us at this table has a different perspective. And we're going to view what it is through the lens of our experience and the lens of our expectations and the lens of our blah, blah, blah. So, Wine Enthusiast magazine, did you say? I would guess that they would have several different lenses that they look through. At a 93, I mean, that's 10 times our rating, 1 to 10. So they came up with a 93. They'd be like a 9.3 for us. See that quick math I did there.
Oh.
So I don't know, and
Big
I'm
brain
sure
on Brad.
I got brain on command, son. But with each one of those is probably going to be the one of those, meaning the people on the team of folks that work there that evaluate different things. It has to be a little bit like each one of us. Different preferences, different experiences, different ways of evaluating things. Hopefully they're like us in the way that they evaluate these things on a one-on-one basis.
So more times than not, and I'm, speaking to the childlike people listening to this podcast, they're probably not going to respond saying, like, needs more grapes.
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. The childlike perspective, at least for my childhood, they're just drinking it to get drunk.
Okay. Because I was just going to say, like, they're not going to be like, there's not enough grapes in this whiskey. And it's like, well, no surprise here.
No, because grapes don't belong in whiskey.
You'd hope so. But for the wine enthusiasts, they might be looking for their, for the...
This was a cheap
You moving
bottle.
forward?
No, I was just thinking, like, you're bringing up grapes and we're talking about wine. I'm thinking that I don't know fuck all about Cabernet Sauvignon.
But, like, it is a wine.
But it is a wine.
It's a
So
wine
that's
barrel.
interesting.
It's a wine barrel.
It's finished in a wine
Which
barrel.
one of you guys knows anything about wine that can explain
Well,
what
isn't
should
that a
what
white-
should I
isn't it a-
expect?
Is it a red?
A Cabernet is a
Is
very
it a
dark
red?
red.
Okay.
Yeah. Not quite as dark as a Merlot, but it is a ruby red.
But isn't
What's
it
the-
a drier? One
Dry, so it's not as sweet.
it's on the drier side.
Okay, so that would lend a depth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at us do the mental math right now of like
Dude,
figuring
yeah.
out this whole
Because
wine
like we don't
enthusiast.
dear listener, we don't have this on our cheat sheet notes. Usually our tasting note we have on our agenda for the night for the tasting, not the night, but the tasting. We'll have tasting notes, and these are bullet pointed with 4 bullet points: appearance, nose, mouth, and finish. And so we've gone over the appearance, and if you lift up the bottle and hold it up, it is dark. Dark is like
very dark.
not almost as dark as a black rum, but it definitely what I would consider a mahogany, definitely. And when you hold it up to the light, it's like a deep honey, a dark
It's got some
amber.
legs.
Give that a little swirl here and look at it.
Going through the store,
Definitely, yeah, lots of legs there.
When I stumbled upon this, being a designer, I am drawn to the visual and the bottle and the etching, the intricate design.
That label's pretty.
It caught my attention. I'm always looking for that diamond in the rough, that cheap, inexpensive bottle
That blows your mind.
That blows your mind, especially for that price. Mm-hmm. And then I saw on there that the 93 point rating on there, and I was like, well, shit, you can't really go wrong taking a gamble on a $27 bottle. So
Right. this $27 bottle, blows our minds. That I mean that'd be great. That'd be like, it'd be better than $2 whore on Nickel Night. It'd be like the $5 whore on Nickel Night. I just got a $5 experience on Nickel Night. This is.
But it's interesting in the sense of like kind of like what you said about the appeal of like the packaging.
Mm-hmm. It's all marketing.
But versus like the $84 Whistle Pig.
Yeah.
The 48
mm-hmm.
dollar of the Dead Guy, in the sense of like there's a lot really trying to promote the idea that it's the Navigator. Like it is going out of its way to make sure that you understand.
This is a premium.
Yes, and
it looks premium.
It looks premium for a $27 thing. I'd be interested to just know, like, grab all of the $27 ones and see how much they're trying to come across as a prestige, like,
absolutely
whiskey versus, hey, you know what Woodford Reserve looks like.
Right.
Or you know that bottle, you know who we are. We don't really need to do anything else.
In the 15 to 30, we'll just say, dollar range, you can expect it to be maybe like maybe a square bottle, maybe a round bottle, fairly uniform design, with a metal screw top lid, like aluminum, tin, whatever it is that they use. This has cork, and it's got a nice copper finish. I'm guessing that's some kind of plastic resin coating over it. But the lip of the bottle is,
it's a heavy glass.
It's a very heavy glass. It's very well made. The like you guys have talked about the label on here. I think I even mentioned it. I can't tell if this is a wrap or if this is like been printed on here. I can't find the edge of the label.
It's really tight.
But
in the sense of.
But I mean, we're breaking down the minutia of this, probably unnecessarily. But we're just so far. I mean, like visually, from a marketing standpoint, us as laymen, when it comes to whiskey and whiskey tasting, maybe not so much for W2 over there. He's seen a lot of things. He's tasted a lot of things. So you and I, Chandler, we're pretty much laymen by comparison.
It's true. We're navigators. He's an explorer. He's been
okay.
Yeah, that's where we're
profound,
at.
my friend. Profound.
Listen. You're paying me. Are you paying me? Like I'm here.
We fed you a brownie.
Okay, I got a brownie. That's true. I got a brownie. We got a brownie.
Delicious brownie.
I'm here. Like you're.
And since you only wanted one, you only get one.
You're hooking me up. You're hooking me up for these deep thoughts, but
and a little stack of stickers.
Yeah. So like the thing I will say though is like, the darkness of the whiskey really makes the rest of the bottle actually like just pop.
Makes it pop, yeah.
Like because you have those glow, the gold, like aspect of the globe that they're trying to show, the cartography, right, of like the rest of the world really pops through because of how dark that whiskey is, because it is dark. Like
it doesn't look like a $27 bottle of whiskey. So maybe that's part of their marketing. Be like, you know what, we're going to sell this relatively cheap, and it's going to look like a $50 bottle.
Well, you even think to yourself, the middle part of here is like an actual is a label, but like you can't tell the difference between where the actual liquor begins.
So that's a label.
Where it is.
I had no idea. That is the damn label. Look at that.
Yeah.
All the way down. I wonder if that's the bottle.
I'll be darned. Yep.
I wonder if it's a tinted bottle. Yeah, to about this point, or maybe that's the actual label, like you said. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass. But yeah, this is.
But you can't really tell where it begins and where it ends.
It's very cool. What's everybody's first impressions on the nose here? Give that a little swirl. Give us a little sniff.
The tasting notes we do have on this say a mash bill of 75% corn, 21% rye. So for a bourbon, that seems like a high percentage of rye, to me anyway. And 4% malted barley combined with finishing in a Cabernet wine barrel give this delicious bourbon a sweet and rich flavor with a full, long finish. Heavy spices and notes of dark cherry, vanilla round out the palate. I pick up cherry
on the nose,
right on the nose,
right on the nose. And anytime that any of the tasting notes have said anything about cherry being on the nose, I've never picked it up until now.
It's there. I have to believe that's part of that Cabernet cask.
You think so? I'm gonna try this on mouth here, see what it comes up with. Fairly smooth. It's still got, I don't know if this is mouth or finish, but there's cherry there too.
A lot of cherry.
I'm not picking up any of the regular like vanilla or kind of toffee or what's the butter one? Whatever. I'm not
The butterscotch.
Butterscotch. I'm not picking up any of those. It's sweet.
For me,
It's not really sweet.
For me, the finish felt watery. Is that like? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I was trying to avoid using the word watery because it didn't seem like it fit. But I don't know how the hell else to describe that.
But it just felt like it just kind of like ended, and I was like, okay.
I was about to say there's not hardly any finish at all on it,
Except a light cherry.
A little bit of a cherry, but as I wasn't getting any heat. But as that finish tapers off, I'm left with a little bit of heat. If that makes any sense.
I can see that. Like I can see that tasting it, but like I feel like the texture. It feels like I'm just tasting liquid, or I'm just feeling liquid overall. And my taste buds are not like everything else that we have had has had like a finish. Like has that note where it has left you with something. This really feels like you finish it and it's like that was a drink. All right, like do you want to taste some more? Or do you not want to taste some more? But other than that, that's all I have. Like even with the rye, there's a burn that lasted. With the dead guy that we tasted, like you had a little bit of that burn, but then you had the smoke. You had some other things that kind of ended. This doesn't feel like everyone's saying the finishing note is completely absent. Like it's like a little bit of the heat at the end of it, but like nothing else that like gives you your taste buds any like jolt.
Initially,
it's just kind of flat
on the front end of the on the mouth. For me, I had a bit of a spiciness, not so much the burn of the alcohol, because it is relatively low. It's 86 proof. And again, this is comparing and it's unfair. But the we've tried the Rogue Spirits Dead Guy whiskey at 40% alcohol, 80 proof, and that seemed like it had more of a burn to it. And sometimes that's just how it goes. But this, for me, on the front end of the mouth, there's a little bit of a spicy kind of burn, which could have been from that rye. That's 21% rye here.
Rye.
And corn, 75% corn. I kind of was hoping, anyway, that I would taste some of the corn whiskey in this. I don't think I did. 4% malted barley. Barley would be kind of an afterthought in this. But so it felt like my experience. First pull, first impression on mouth on this. It was the initial spice of the rye meets a depth of a deep dry, like we already discussed. Maybe that's subliminal message going on here, but the deep dryness of a wine mixed with oak, faint oak, and with a overcast of cherry and a finish of cherry, not a sweet cherry, but kind of like you said, Chandler, a watered down, to me, watered down kind of cherry. But that was just first pull, first impression. Maybe second, mouth will be a little bit different. Give me a sip of water and try that out again.
It doesn't feel like it is stunning at the moment. And I'm not trying to.
It's less stunning and more stunting.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to I don't want to hate.
Right.
There's a lot of work that is put into trying to create a whiskey or anything in general, right? Like,
I'm sure these folks have forgotten more than I will ever learn.
Right.
And I respect that.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, if you're wanting to be a critic about this or have a genuine conversation about, like, what does this mean to you, at the first taste, and I've done like a couple of them, it just was like, yeah, like I might be able to understand why this is $27, unfortunately.
Yep.
And I wasn't expecting that. I was not looking to judge this based on price point. Like if I didn't even know that was a $27 bottle, I would not have guessed it. I would have thought at least 40, maybe probably 50.
So this is where
just by looking at it.
This is where the I feel like the deceiving of the packaging has come into play, where the pomp and circumstance has really tried to overshadow the actual work that you do in the actual bottle. Because like we talked about this on the first like episode that like I've been on, where it's like it doesn't, like, you can do everything that you want to, like, you know, Dead Guy, I love watching the evolution of the bottle, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter unless you are either evolving for the betterment of the actual whiskey that you're creating. Like, if I'm, like, drinking that bottle and I'm like, this is already great, and I want to continue it to be great, or I want it to be better, then continue to do that. But for this one, it's like, let's give you the best packaging we possibly can to, like, fool you into thinking that our whiskey is more top of the line than what it is. And I don't know if you sit there and think to yourself, like, I've been sold fool's gold, because I'm like, it's like, hey, I bought this for $27, so, like, I should know what I'm getting. But, like, what you Jonathan has said, like, I literally looking at this package is like, I thought that this was going to be better than what it was because the packaging sold me on it, which feels like fool's gold to a certain extent.
I think I'm feeling a bit of a disappointment, kind of like what Mitch had with Limavady. It was supposed to be like what 7th rated Irish whiskey in the world initially, and his initial assessment was kind of a disappointment. That changed later.
Yeah.
But initial assessment was kind of a disappointment, but for him. And I remember that one had a lot more complexity and a lot more to offer to it than I think he was giving it credit for, which I was pretty surprised that he had that definition. But he had a hard time.
Quickly.
Very quick, yeah. But I think he had a very hard time separating the other whiskeys that he had tried. Especially that Redbreast, and like to evaluate it as it stands versus comparing it to another. So I bring that up to say that I'm feeling a bit of a disappointment on this one.
Yeah,
I really did.
I am too.
I really did. I built it up in my head, I guess, with the bottle, the heavy glass, the attention to detail in the artwork on the label, the even the stopper up here on this composite cork thing. It was a nice touch. Navigator with the ships, like the ship's steering wheel, whatever. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon, aged 3 years, and it's so damn dark.
Right.
I expected. I think I expected a lot more flavor than we got. How long? Yeah, 3 years. American white oak. So it started off, the same way as your Dead Guy whiskey did, but it did not finish that way. It finished in the Cabernet Sauvignon wine barrels, which I'm sure knocked down a lot of the heat.
Yeah.
Like even if it was 100 proof.
So I was just wondering, like, what does the Cabernet do to this? Because, like, again, like, I'm just wondering, I mean, what other bourbon or whiskey have you had that's been in a wine barrel?
Jefferson Reserve has a couple different ones. Actually, one of the Jefferson Reserves I've been looking for quite a long time, and I just have not gotten around to actually purchasing it. Online, $94 was the price of that particular one I've been looking for.
On the Flavier.com?
Yeah. Lucas has it for $68.
Wow.
So I might at some point go back and try to get it, but it is a bourbon that is finished in a Cabernet cask.
I wonder how that would compare. Side by side comparison.
But yeah, I mean, across the board.
I think for me, this would be the first Cabernet finished. Because we've had them finished in sherry casks and...
or even port.
Port cask. But
Angel's Envy is finished in a port cask.
Not Cabernet. So maybe this is a unique experience, and I'm just kind of thrown off by it. But I mean that's how it goes. You get things built up in your head on what you think they're going to be, what you think they should be, and then when you finally get to meet the thing, like what the fuck, it's disappointment, and it's your fault for even thinking.
I think I remember in a
under-promise, over-deliver.
I think I remember in a previous episode, you commenting that we had yet rated anything below the 5 mark.
I did, and that's been running through my head. Like, how the hell am I going to rate this under a 5?
And sadly,
but I know I'm going to do it.
And sadly, I think I'm putting this at best a 4.5.
4.5? Okay. I thought you were going to go 3, and I was going to put it at 4. Like 3.5, 4. But to pull myself away from that, I've been fighting with what Chandler leans towards. Like, what is this going to do to a cocktail?
Absolutely.
Like, as an ingredient, this might help a cocktail shine.
Sure.
I'm not.
Well, and we've talked about that
not
before.
Not to talk shit on this whiskey, because I'm sure a lot of work has gone into this, but I'm not sure what cocktail would make this whiskey shine.
We've talked several times. There are those whiskeys in the cabinet that shine neat by themselves,
right?
And there are those in the cabinet that need the extra ingredients of a cocktail in order to help bring it to light.
But even for me, I will say this, that like for the life of me, I'm struggling to know what to bring it to life.
Right.
Just as is. I'm right there with you with the 4, because I'm like, this is like trying to figure out, like, it is a little bit of, like I used the metaphor on the last episode of like, if you got a good steak, like what can you do to make the steak like great, and like if you add sides to it, it's going to be great. But if you have a bad piece of meat, it's really hard to add enough seasoning to like hide the aspect that it's a bad piece of meat. I'm struggling a little bit to like figure out like what do you add to this to levitate it to like like you shouldn't have used, like, this is great, but like you could have used a better piece of alcohol and like you would have elevated this on a completely different level.
There's no amount of spice that will take away the chewiness or the shoe leather aspect of a bad piece of meat.
Yeah.
So I guess if we deconstruct this Cabernet Sauvignon, you said it was a dry wine, right?
It's a medium dry, yeah.
A medium dry wine. Does dry equal bitter? Does dry equal bland?
So that's what I was wondering if like Cabernet, like
Merlots are. I feel like Merlot is a very, very dry, and I feel like a Merlot has a little bit of a bitterness to it. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or not, but a lot of Merlot and Cabernets have a dark cherry kind of an overtone to the palate.
Okay, and that's more than likely where we're picking up on so much of this cherry, because it was on the nose immediately.
Yeah,
it was on the palate, on the mouth. It was on the finish, and it was just kind of an overarching kind of flavor. So I'm thinking when it comes to mixing into a cocktail, because I think personally 100%. I would like to see this Navigator Straight Bourbon whiskey as an ingredient in a cocktail in the future.
Yeah.
Once the recipe has been doctored, geared specifically for this whiskey as an ingredient to enhance the overall experience of the cocktail.
Yep.
I don't believe dry equals bitter. I think dry wines have a little more complexity than they're usually given credit for having, mostly because they don't have that wow, they don't have that pop as far as flavor goes. Like you said, cherry can be a little bit hard to decipher for me. Even, as much as I love cherry, it absolutely can when it's not like, kicked in the ass with a shit ton of sugar. Which,
right.
I absolutely love. Like, I'll eat the cherry pie filling like a fat kid, and shouldn't, but does. But like, I really don't. I've had it as a topping on a brownie sundae, but way off subject. So I'm thinking, I don't believe, and I say this with hesitation, because these folks, I'm sure, have put a lot of hard work into this. This is somebody's labor of love, and for me to sit here and give it a 3.5 or a 4 out of 10 rating is an insult to them, and I honestly feel awful about that. But on the flip side of that thick nickel that we're trying to ride the edge of, I believe this would go great in a cocktail of some kind. Maybe we would have to go to their website and find out. I'm sure there's cocktails that they would suggest.
Their website is very, very minimal.
Is it really?
It is, yeah. Yeah, that's actually where I found what little bit I was able to pull out of here was from their website. And
I guess here's another thing. So
I feel like the cat on a linoleum floor that's been chasing the fucking mouse across the kitchen floor, and it's like trying to stop before it hits the wall, and it's skidding backwards, but it's still moving forwards. Getting ready to fucking slam into that wall. But, like, I don't want to give these guys such an. I feel like a 3.5 or a 4 is a negative review.
But I guess as a.
And the people pleaser in me hates that.
As a devil's advocate to that, like, I feel like we've done enough to, like, say, like, we really don't want to do that. If you hate something, like, I almost want you to justify it. And I feel like we've tried to justify it. Like, and I'm not saying that we hate it. I'm just saying, like, if we dislike something, like, justify it. Tell us the reason why you're, like, not liking something. And I feel like that's the case. If this is, like you said, like, with the website, that they haven't given enough information, like, maybe this is something where it's like they are in the beginning stages to figure things out, which is fair. And it's like, okay, like, the next time, hopefully it's better. And hopefully it's better, like, you look down 5 years down the road and it is better than what it was. But, like, at the moment, it, like, for us and maybe other people and your friends and everything like that who are, your distiller friends, the friends that are, that are, like, saying, like, this is great. They're like, you're doing a great job. But, like, if you're looking to, like, make us happy, it's not doing it at the moment, and that's the thing. And I think that comes from the creative perspective for me, because it's like I get frustrated getting feedback of saying I don't like this, and then it's like I ask why, and it's like I just don't know, I just don't like it, and it's like, okay, that does not help me not only be better as a designer, but it doesn't help you accomplish what you're wanting.
Yeah, having the what without the why is extremely frustrating.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, like, I feel like we've tried to be, like, able to say, like, at the end of this, there is no finishing note. Like, there's nothing that, like, I feel like, okay, I really want to taste this more, or that's peculiar. I maybe want to understand that a little bit better. It's like it literally falls flat. Like, I fall off the side of a cliff. And that might sound like a harsh description of it, but, like, I don't know what else to tell you to describe, like, what I'm feeling without giving you a little bit of, like, a reality check of, like, what's happening right now. And I don't know what else to say about that. Again, I appreciate the ethic and work that goes into it. But like, you know, there's a difference between an Oscar-winning film and the work that you put into that, and then The Room with Tommy Wiseau and saying like, well, you've put a lot of work into this film, so like, does that mean that it's an Oscar-winning film? Like, is any B movie, the amount of work that you put into that film, an Oscar-winning worthy film? Like, more times than not, it's like, no. But like, I respect the work that you put into it.
I think Evil Dead franchise across the board should be Oscar-winning.
Okay.
I'd say that totally tongue-in-cheek. I don't believe that.
But again,
I love them wholeheartedly.
But again, I've also had the fair conversations with people where we talk about movies, and I have to like acknowledge that it also is different strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I have to acknowledge that when I ask people what their favorite movie is, and they say like Step Brothers, and I'm like, that, like, out of every film in the whole entire world, that's your favorite film. And again, like, for me, it's like comedy is not the thing that I also like just jump to as the first thing that's like my favorite film. Like I'm a little bit more nuanced in the, like, I want the heartfelt, I want to feel something, I want to do this, and I don't want to just laugh. I have to respect that somebody's like, okay, like, all I really want to do is just laugh. Like, all I want to, like, there's some people that be like, all I want is a $27 bottle of Navigator.
Get drunk.
Just to get drunk.
I want a $27 bottle of Get Drunk.
That accomplishes what I want to do. It's like, okay, yeah, but I want to drink something that every time I feel like I'm in a suit and like I'm drinking something that's got some money to it. Again, like the past metaphors that I had, that like all of a sudden if I open my tongue, I could see a dollar bill roll out and be like, oh.
This is the banana bread of whiskey.
This is the banana bread of whiskey. Well, I feel like we should continue.
That's the 10. The banana bread of whiskey, that's the 10.
Yeah. Which we have not found.
So, yeah. So all that to say, this is such a cherry forward, I think, across the board. Did everybody pick up on the cherry?
Yes.
Absolutely.
The entire time.
Yeah.
So it's so cherry forward. Maybe a cocktail that involves chocolate bitters and almond bitters. Maybe a dash of each with something besides like maybe an ice cube. So, dear listener, if you're looking for something that is relatively inexpensive, that has cherry flavor and something that has room to grow in a cocktail, because the wine, the Cabernet Sauvignon flavor profile, it's not. I don't think it's that developed. But I'm so unfamiliar with that with wines in general, because I usually stick to dessert wines. Because I have sweet tooth from hell, like we've talked about before. This offering from Navigator Straight Bourbon Whiskey, aged 3 years from the great state of Kentucky, could be a contender as an ingredient for a very unique cocktail that has yet to be developed. Unfortunately, we don't have anything else to go on from the apparent lack of information via the website, which is fine. Everybody's got a beginning. Every business has an evolution, a process to go through. I think right off the bat, they knocked the ball out of the park with the look of the bottle, even the color being so dark, and it's not just. Maybe
it's
it
not
was
just the label.
Maybe it was a lot of it to the label, because it looks like, or not but the bottle itself. The bottle itself might be colored as it goes down. But still, even up at the top, we're looking at a dark amber,
Still dark, yeah.
mahogany kind of thing. I'm glad that topper was in there, because I would have just fucking deluged our electronics with that. But as far as the 1 to 10 goes, I'm still sticking to it.
Yeah. 4.
Unfortunately, 3.5, 4 for me. Mr. W2 gave it a solid 4.
Mm-hmm.
And where did you come in?
I came at
Chandler?
I came at it a 4, and again, like
4.
I just looking at it and even trying to read about like the Trevor Sheehan, like,
Yeah.
you know, began his journey in the wine profession for 10 years ago. Like it again, it feels like a bourbon that is just growing and like has not figured itself out. And for me, when you are again looking at the price point and looking for, I want to taste something, $27 right now with the Navigator isn't hitting the mark. Like I'd take bullet over this in a heartbeat because I feel like it knows what it is. This doesn't feel like it knows what it is.
Well, and let's be real too. Yes, a $27 price point is a very inexpensive price point.
Mm-hmm.
But Buffalo Trace is also a $25, $27 bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And Buffalo Trace is an amazing bourbon.
But I think it goes back to the whole point that it knows what it is. Right?
Hands down.
And I think that like this is the shiny wrapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's trying to like give you the appearance that it knows what it is, and
it's
it
like
has
a Corvette with a V6.
and it hasn't figured it out. Like so, and say that again.
It's like a Corvette with a V6.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, excuse the fuck out of me. Like you put a 6-cylinder in a Corvette, it's supposed to be a sports car. But then you look at the Toyota Supra, like a 6 or a 4-banger or whatever, one of the fastest cars in production for that time.
A lot of the Mustangs you see out on the road have 4 cylinders in them.
Yeah, they're either 4 or 6. To find a V8 in any of them, they have to have that 5.0 badge on them.
Yep.
Or Cobra or something on there, you know.
Yep.
They have a very distinct sound. What was the point you were getting to?
But
I'm sorry, Chandler.
No. But I think that is completely fair in the sense of like, I lean towards Dead Guy because like when I think of like Dead Guy, at least at the moment, and when I'm drinking it, that smokiness comes through, and it feels like it's like an overemphasized thing. Like I'm gonna make sure that you at least taste one of the things that is our like the core thing that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And it fits with kind of the brand and the identity that it has. And at least with this, I'm like, I don't know exactly what your core goal is. Like, I have no idea what you want me to actually, like, walk away with this. And I don't know if that even is with the taste, the idea of the name of it. Navigator, I'm like, am I just Magellan and I'm supposed to guess what you want me to taste? And I'm just supposed to land on something and say, okay, like I landed here and this tastes like cherry, I think. Like the cherry is maybe the biggest thing that I taste. But overall...
And with my experience in gardening, I have found that you can grow the same crop or the same fruit, vegetable, whatever, in different soils and have different flavors.
Absolutely.
For the exact same... Like you can, start your seeds in the same medium... and plant them in different areas in different soils, and you'll get a different flavor.
Yeah.
It may be subtle, but you're going to get a little bit of a different flavor. And I just had a moment of clarity. Hopefully that didn't just go through the microphones, put my hand down on the table like that. But I did have a moment of clarity. I had to take a step back mentally from what we're doing here. And my mind went back to the paper collar that was on here, a 9.3 rating from Wine Enthusiast magazine. All right, so I'm gonna go backwards, and I don't know if these Chandler read part of one of these, and this is what started me going down a pseudo rabbit hole. Wet my whistle with a little water. I'm going to read these 2 paragraphs that we have here in our notes. On our notes on this, and I think this is giving me more of an appreciation for what this bottle is like you were Chandler, you were talking about with a name like Navigator, it should know where it is and where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I had to go back and reread this real quick, and I'll do it here, air quote, on air. Our proprietor, Vintner, which means a winemaker, Trevor Sheehan, began his journey in the wine profession 10 years ago. After spending nearly a decade learning from the master winemakers of Burgundy and Bordeaux, while collecting and trading the world's finest wines, he became determined to create brands that unlock the essence and flavors of these treasures at affordable prices. We present a distinguished collection of wines and spirits, each made with precise attention to detail and a commitment to quality from the source to the packaging. Our wines and spirits are layered with complex and delicious flavors, showcasing the unique characteristics. So just by reading this description, it tells me that the perspective that we're judging, that we're experiencing, that we're looking, the lens that we're viewing this straight bourbon whiskey is from a bourbon or a whiskey enthusiast's lens. We're not looking at it from the wino's lens, right? So if you're a wine head, somebody that loves and lives and breathes wine and all of those different flavor profiles that those have to offer, you're going to pick up a lot more from this whiskey. So this whiskey was designed for wine lovers. It was not it's not a wine designed for whiskey lovers, right? So if you flipped the script on a wine lover, they might not like a whiskey designed for wine lovers, but they might like this whiskey designed for wine lovers because it got a 93 rating from that magazine, and that's all winos. Like, they live and breathe and they love wine.
And I completely agree with that.
So
like,
I this entire time I may have completely fucked my my evaluation on this because I'm so inexperienced as far as wine goes.
But I don't know if that's fair. Like, I don't know what.
I thought I was being unfair to this whiskey because even by this design, you talked about with a name like Navigator, and I totally agree. It should know where it comes from and where it's going. But by this description that we have available to us, it became determined to create brands that unlock the essence and flavors of these treasures at affordable prices. That's the $27 price. We present a distinguished collection of wines and spirits, each made with precise attention. They know where they're going, and detail. They know where they're going, and a commitment to quality from the source to the packaging. The packaging. That's what initially wowed us on this.
So I guess maybe it's like this is where the hard ass in me is like coming through. Where like I guess that's fair. I appreciate it. I understand it. I acknowledge it. And like if they're sitting there and they're not thinking to themselves like we're gonna shake up the world with our bourbon, that's fine. I guess what I struggle with is that your wrapping is saying bourbon whiskey, and I don't think of it as bourbon whiskey. Okay, again, like your genre, the genre that you chose to be in is not the genre that you chose to be in. Your genre that you chose to be in is like a nice is a nice like transitional to wine, and it's like that's not what I'm thinking of when I'm going to buy this. So you've sold me like false goods. If there was something that said like, straight bourbon from wine to straight bourbon whiskey, I'd be like, yeah, I completely understand that. That's fine. But like, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like you're specifically talking about that, specifically talking about bourbon. And that's where I feel like I've been sold as a person that like is like thinking of it from a perspective of specifically bourbon, sold a bill of goods. Because 9 times out of 10, no one's doing the due diligence of like Dubs going and trying to look on the website of like, well, where are you coming from? No one's doing the due diligence of like us having a conversation.
You're
like
just at the liquor store looking for a bottle.
Yeah, and that you're like literally talking about this, and like that says something about us, but that doesn't say anything about like this bottle when you pick it up from the liquor store and actually have it. So like I feel like you've sold some false goods to some people when you've put it under this category, and I don't know what you do about that. Like that's a different conversation. I don't know what you do about like where you say like, where do we put this in the market? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no other place that's like in between, like, you know, or middle of the road or whatever. But like, I will also say that there is no description on the back of this that says, hey, I just want to make sure that you understand that this is like not for everybody else. Like the only description they have is the labeling of it. Like,
it said, yeah, like you said, there's really no description except for on the side it says aged 3 years in American white oak barrels.
So it'd be better if I almost would know their story to be like, I get where you're coming from. So when I buy this, I'm not going to be disappointed, because I would imagine as a consumer, if I walk in with a perception of like buying this and thinking to myself, like, this is what I'm going to be getting out of it, and then drinking it and being like, this is not what I'm getting out of it, I'm just going to be like, I'm never buying this again. Yeah. So you've basically disappointed the consumer that is just picking it off the shelf, as opposed to...
You've gotten their initial $27, but you have not gained...
The longevity
of it.
Yeah.
And it does say on the front, straight bourbon whiskey finished in Navigator red wine barrels. And then it just says Kentucky on the bottom.
And this is where I concern myself with, like, I'm not hating on the paragraph that you read. I'm not directly hating on the paragraph, but like enough words can be flowery enough that cover up the disservice that you've done with the directness that you've done. Right? Like, again, at the end of the day, no matter what you say about this, I'm going to taste this and be like, you're right, but like we're in the middle of the road here. And when I look at the packaging, you said that you are a straight bourbon whiskey. Sure. But I'm missing a lot of elements that I thought that I was going to be getting. Like I thought that was going to be the case.
Yeah, like straight whiskey right out of the pot, right out of the still. Okay. It had to go in a barrel to make it a bourbon. But how long did it spend in that oak barrel before it had to be switched over to the wine barrel? But I think had they had any of this information, any bit of these two paragraphs on the back of the bottle to give any kind of description, because like if you see this bottle and you pick it up because you think it looks cool, you're gonna. And you read straight bourbon whiskey finished in Navigator red wine barrels out of Kentucky. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and read the back of the label, which is non-descriptive at all. There's nothing on there. Had they put this information about, had they just said a bourbon created by and for wine enthusiasts, or a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey created for and by whiskey or wine enthusiasts, we would have had a lot better understanding as to what to expect.
And that's where I feel like the packaging
matters.
Packaging matters, and like I'd be interested to know what the conversation was like when they were trying to figure out the packaging and understood exactly what they had, and was trying to be like, should we talk about this or should we not talk about this? Should we talk about the elephant in the room or should we not talk about the elephant in the room?
Maybe they were blind to it and they had no idea.
But it feels like that paragraph really describes like that they were aware that this is what we were doing, but they chose not to talk about it. And like, as a person that has been in rooms multiple times, and I imagine that Dubs has been in the rooms multiple times, where it's like we recognize either the issue or we recognize like what we like our goals. So we're just going to describe it as this. And for any person that walks in and thinks that this is a problem, I guess we'll deal with them as they come, but we're not going to highlight that, right? Because again, it's the $27. It's like, okay, we're going to get the $27. We're going to get a bunch of people picking this up, and they're going to, and maybe they'll think it's great. Maybe they'll think it's good. Maybe they're not whiskey enthusiasts and they'll not know like if this is a good wine. Because again, there is no harshness to this. So it is prime for people who are not aware of like, I guess, the true taste of whiskey to be like, this doesn't taste like Grandpappy's whiskey. You know what I mean? So then it's like, I'll buy this all the time because it doesn't hit. And it's like, wait a second, but like you're not getting the maybe authentic version of what whiskey should be tasting like. Mm-hmm. Like you're getting a false idol to a certain extent, and that sucks because it's like now how do you convince a person that like this is not the right whiskey that you should be tasting? This is and more experimental, and it deserves its own genre, it deserves its own space, but like it's not what it is.
It's kind of hard to find that right space for that. Anybody have any closing thoughts on it, other than what you said and what I've said? Wayne, you got anything? I guess I don't know. I guess a closing thought for me is after giving it extra thought. I feel like this offering, this tasting Navigator Straight Bourbon whiskey, neat. It does not shine. It has undeveloped flavors that are hidden and could use a little enhancing. In what way? I'm not a distiller. I don't know. I'm not a winemaker ever, so I wouldn't know where to begin to suggest. But I feel like this has an untapped and or hidden potential, and it drives me fucking crazy that I can't figure out what it would be good for, because I beyond just walking into the room and giving everybody the benefit of the doubt. And an initial modicum of trust and respect, and being not slapped in the face, but facing a dose, not an insurmountable dose, not a healthy dose, just a dose of kind of relative disappointment. And in this tasting, I feel like there's something I'm missing. But dear listener, I think if you're looking for a cherry forward, not super high proof, it's 86.6 proof, wine enthusiast perspective kind of idea of what Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey should be, or an introduction to a Kentucky Straight Bourbon from a wine enthusiast perspective, you might want to give this a try. If you're looking for something that might be a challenge to come up with a cocktail to make this sumbitch shine, you might have your work cut out for you. I think a dash of almond or a dash of chocolate bitters might enhance this Navigator Straight Bourbon whiskey. But I'm not sure it'll take it to the stars, let alone the moon, and really make this sumbitch shine. But once again, I really do think that there's a bit of a hidden, untapped potential for this, and I'm disappointed in myself as much as my initial thoughts on this whiskey. I really do think there's something more to it, and that's just my opinion. Chandler, if I'm summarizing your thoughts, you were sold on a false bill of goods, and it's kind of a disappointment, kind of a letdown, and it really wasn't that tasty. W2, it's kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
You're just kind of hands in the air like, the fuck was that supposed to be? I'm more in the camp of I get what they were going for, but I do agree with Chandler that it should have been labeled differently, or just described differently on the label somewhere, and not just the website. But once again, the price point's at $27. You know, it's worth the gamble if you're looking to make a gamble. Mm-hmm. And throw it on some ice, throw in, different ingredients, and try to make it into something. I dare you. So you can, in the future, it'll be in the liquor cabinet on savortheburn.com, the ever-evolving website created by the wonderful W2. You can find us also on any and all podcast apps, including but not limited to Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google, Samsung, Pandora, and many, many more. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Just search Savor the Burn or at Savor the Burn. If you think that we are completely full of shit, or you totally agree with us on this, you've had this before, and by God, you just needed somebody else to say it because you felt bad, email us at info@savortheburn.com. You can email me directly, Jonathan@savortheburn.com. Email Wayne at w2@savortheburn.com. And once again, Mr. Chandler, thank you so much for
absolutely
joining us on
Thank you so much.
On this and these episodes.
Listen, this has been absolutely a pleasure talking to you and critiquing bourbon and whiskey, and I'm a better person for it. Straight up, I'm a better person for it.
And we appreciate the extra perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, like I don't know if we said this off air or not. Echo chamber. You said it. I don't want to live in an echo chamber. I need to hear other people's thoughts, because my scales can't be tipped. They have to be even. Like, I have to take in everybody's considerations and thoughts, and I have to decipher them and make my own.
And it takes listening, and I think that that's what's great about like a podcast like this is like I need to listen to what Jonathan says. I need to listen to what Dub says. I need to listen to everyone to like understand like what is your perspective of this. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to critiquing, specifically critiquing, because I think that we live in a world where everyone has an opinion about something. Absolutely. But I don't know if it's fully valid. It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion. But like in the sense of when I say valid, I mean in the sense of like just going off the cuff. There's no like substance to like why are you really thinking what you're thinking? Yeah. It's beautiful to be able to have a conversation with you all and us try to dissect why are we feeling the way that we're feeling. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what makes this great. So I'm so grateful to be a part of this and have 3 wonderful drinks with you all. Mm-hmm. And all that type of stuff, and get some brownies, and not enough banana bread. Whatever.
He said brownies plural. I believe this man is looking for another brownie.
That's probably true.
I know I could use one.
That's probably true. But like, just not enough banana bread. That's what I'm like. I'm just
banana bread went to 0.
Aiming for on that part.
On this recording.
But I appreciate all of it, and it's been great to talk to you too.
We appreciate you, and we're grateful for having you. I'm better man for knowing you and getting to know you more. So I enjoy that.
I was about to sing "Simple Man," but that's okay. Whatever. So it's all
Mama
good.
told me when I was young.
Okay, listen. Don't. Again, I thought that I was the guest, and this was my moment to shine, and you're like really outshining me. And again,
Lo siento, bro. Lo siento.
I don't know what that means.
It means
I don't.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's true. No, I think I got that one.
Good times. And we can find you at Kalamazoo on most of the socials, right?
Yes.
You're a content creator. You're
And .com.
Kalamazoo.com, and that's spelled KALIMIZZOU.
And I did not go to Mizzou, like the Missouri University of Missouri. I went to K-State.
Okay.
It's all confusing. I just want to make sure that that's clear. That I see it in your eyes. You're like, I don't care. Just tell me where to find Chandler. And
my eyes did not articulate my thoughts very well.
Okay,
Usually
okay.
my face completely shows my thought process.
No, you looked at me and was like, listen,
I
you
really
went to
thought,
K-State. I don't care where you went.
No, it's not that I don't care. It's just I was confused with the MIZZOU.
Yeah,
I
I know.
really thought that would have been a Missouri.
Yeah, I know. See, this is bags of mystery.
It's a whole thing, right?
All
you're a mystery wrapped in an enigma with extra mystery on top.
I'm not Scrappy. I'm not Scrappy Doo or
Zoinks.
or Scooby Doo. I am the mystery machine. Yeah. Like that's just what it is. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for.
We need to feed this man another brownie.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull some more secrets out of him. Scintillating.
Yeah.
Very much. Very cool. Will you join us on this? Dear listeners, you know what to do.
Keep on burning.